Well, hello everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and it's a glorious, literally glorious 20 degrees here, that's in southern British Columbia, and that would make it 68 in northern Washington state. I really want to dedicate this little clip to Patty. And Patty, the reason is I woke up this morning and I read your incredible note about how you had done your adventure yesterday, and it was really strange because I really got a sense of the fact that, you know, that you hadn't wanted to get up and go and do something particularly, but you did, that you pushed yourself to go and do something adventurous, and it touched my soul enough that when I got up this morning and I still felt really tired, and I was seriously contemplating just staying in bed and not, you know, really not doing anything today. And I could have justified it 10 ways to Sunday, but I don't know why your message came into my head, and I thought to myself, gosh, if Patty can get out and do what she did, then surely you can get off your ass, excuse my language, and you know, do something constructive today. And so I'm on my way to go and oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I know, I'm gonna cough and sneeze at the same time, which is very challenging. Anyway, I'm on my way to go to the hitch shop. It's H-I-T-C-H, hitch. Because, as you know, there was a problem on my trip with one of my stabilizer bars, or equalizer bars, I think they're called, and it had to do with the inside of my hitch. So I'm going to the hitch shop to get some idea of what needs to be done. Now, I'm a bit fearful about that because the reality is that it will probably cost me money that I don't have and haven't budgeted for. But let me explain to you why I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it anyway because my trailer is, to me, and always has been, freedom. I've always said that being able to back up the Jeep to the trailer, hitch it up, and move the heck out of town, or not even out of town sometimes. Sometimes I've even just gone to a local campground for a few days. To me, it's freedom. It's my freedom away from the routine of every day. And by the way, I think it's healthy to do that, to get away from the routine. Now, some people do that. They go away and go and visit places and stay in hotels and things, but between all the years that I was a smoker and the fact that I'm allergic to garlic, that quite honestly, that going away and staying in a hotel was very rarely peaceful for me, because I spent my life trying to find out where I could smoke and then how do I avoid garlic. So it became quite stressful, and that's why I realized, boy, I can go anytime with the trailer and you know, have my own food and smoke if I want to. But now that I don't smoke, it's still lovely. I'm in that sort of mindset where I do like camping, and I always have. I think there's, you know, it's a, I don't know what it is about camping that I love, but I really got a sense that Leah understood what I do and why. So Leah, I just want to thank you on the broadcast yesterday. You really made me chuckle, because I'm going, yeah, I think we have a lot in common in terms of how we see life and how we deal with life, but also that we don't limit our camping to being rustic. You know, we live it as well as we choose to. And so I was really delightfully amused with that. And then I'm going to come home and I do some shopping, because I realized that I haven't been shopping since before the trip, which is 2 weeks ago. And my fridge is as empty as you'll probably ever see it. And so it's time to put some stuff back in. But what I'm realizing, and I don't know why, but it's my beef of the day. I want to have a little moan about this. But because I seem to buy fruit and vegetables, and I end up throwing so much of it away, because you end up, you know, you have to buy so much, and for a single person I'm not going to use that much, and so it frustrates me. And so today when I go shopping, I am really going to work very hard at trying to find, you know, not buy 3 peppers just because I like 3 different colors, and that's why I buy 3. I'm going to try really hard just to buy 1 pepper and not throw 2 away at the end of the week. I'm going to try really hard to find out if they've cut up a celery stalk, so I can only, you know, pick up 3 or 4 stalks of it, not a whole big one, you know, 3 or 4 veins of it. You know, I buy the little grape tomatoes and seem to throw a lot of them away. So what I'm trying to do is just really get a better sense of what I'm eating and what I'm buying and how much money I'm throwing away every week in wasted food. I'm going to stop buying bananas and strawberries for my shakes and buy them frozen, because I found out you can buy that mixture frozen, just bananas and strawberries, because that's really the main reason why I buy them. Now, will I buy a small punnet every now and then? Yes, to be able to have strawberries in season, of course. But I'm not going to buy, you know, as much as I normally do, thinking that I'm going to use it in, you know, shakes, because what happens is by the time I use them in shakes, the strawberries are off and I throw half of them away. Now, I don't know if this is making any sense to anybody other than me, but I was thinking this could make a major shift in my weekly costs. And I want to see if I can bring my weekly purchase down that way. Now, the other thing I've noticed is since I went away, I really haven't had a whole lot of bread. Jeff and I had some French bread with our cheese, but that was like a meal for us. You know, it would be a lunch. And that was one of the things he was saying, if you're going to have bread, have it at lunchtime so you can work it off. And that makes a lot of sense. I really must say that I have managed this week to live with what little there was left in my fridge. And so this week, after 2 weeks, I will have very little to throw away. Because I basically used up. Now I do have some tomatoes left, and I'm thinking that I could make you know, a small amount of spaghetti sauce out of it. Homemade spaghetti sauce would be a good idea. It will probably make less than a cup, but that's all I really need for one helping. So that's good. Alright, so as I carry on with my day, I'm going to come back and just update you on what's going on. In the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy the drive because it's really pretty. Bye-bye for now. Well, I've just decided to do some vlogging on the way back from this because I realized that I wanted to have my word for the day, and that's going to be achievement. I've obviously achieved something. I found out what it's going to cost me to replace my hitch. And the interesting thing is that it's actually about the same as I paid 15 years ago, which shocked me actually. Although it's still a lot of money, it's going to be about $350. What amazed me was that that's what I paid for it 15 years ago. Now the only difference is that they're swapping the actual ball of it over. I have what they call a class 4 hitch, which is a pretty heavy duty hitch. And so that actually was quite a pleasant surprise. And two things that I found interesting was, number one, I was correct. You know, if the lug, the catching thing in the one side is going, then obviously the chances of the second side also going are high. But more than that, they also said the actual equalizer bars that swing, very difficult if you're not a trailer person, but they're like bars that hold the weight of the trailer up so that it's not pushing a lot of weight down on the back of the Jeep. And that's why they call them equalizer bars. The trailer is inclined to tip forward and it brings the front up. Anyway, so what they're saying is that the equalizer bars themselves also need to be replaced. And it's all part of one package. So you can buy them separately, but quite honestly, it's worth buying the whole lot together. So that's what I'm doing. I'm buying the whole package. And you've got to look at it and say, sure, that's a big expense that I wasn't planning for and hadn't allowed for in my budgeting. But then I also look at it and say, if I want to continue my freedom, then I need to replace them, because I'm not one that wants to be driving around without my equalizer bars. And then I got to meet a man called Doug. Now, Doug is past retirement age, and he happened to work at this place where I've just been. And you couldn't help but notice that he has lost his left arm. And he has a prosthesis on it. And you know, I asked him, I said, I've got to ask, you know, how did you lose it? And he said he lost it in a mill accident. And I didn't quite understand. They said they couldn't get his hand working again. I didn't understand why they had amputated his whole arm for that. But I'm certain if I had felt comfortable asking him more questions about that, I would have found that out. But anyway, they obviously amputated his whole arm. And I asked him, what did it take for him to recover, if you like, and then move on? Because I know a lot of you are going through tough times, and those that are not going through tough times need to know, how do people that have things like that happen, how do they do that? And the one thing that he said that didn't surprise me was the first thing he had to deal with was the shock. All right, so that's the cycle of loss that we talk about so often. You know, first of all, I'm sure that he got very angry, and then he got very sad, and I'm sure he blamed God and everybody else around him for quite a while. And all the normal things that happen when we go into this sort of behavior. And then eventually, he said he realized that none of this was going to make his life any better, and he had 3 children to support. he was a young man with 3 children and a wife, and he needed to support them. So he saw that what he needed to do was to move on. And, feeling sorry for himself wasn't going to pay the rent and wasn't going to pay the bills. And so being the sort of person that he is, that he wanted to move on. And what he did is he, did what he needed to do to get functional again and therefore be able to earn an income again. And now he's past retirement. And apparently the man who runs the shop at the moment is his son-in-law, I think. And so he's just there to help do some stuff. So I thought that was really interesting. And while I was there, I realized that the hitch business is a very specific business, right? I mean, and I asked these questions, just like my brother, I guess. I asked these questions, but of the people who actually will have the answers. And I asked him, how is the business? I mean, seriously. Because I know that the economy is not great still. And I would, pretty much judge that would mean that his business is not as great. But what he told me, and I always love this because I learn things, what he told me is that what was surprising was that not only was the business less busy than last summer, but also that a lot of the trailer manufacturers were now putting the hitches on at source. In other words, bring your car in, we'll put the hitch onto your car for you. In other words, a lot of the trailer companies are now getting into that side of the business, which of course affects his business dramatically. And he said, most of the new trailers now come complete with that service. Sad, huh? So how do you keep a business running like that? A hitch business is a hitch business. You're going to have to diversify and do something else as well as hitches. So, I don't know. I'm sort of glad I could give them some business, if you know what I mean. I got a nice call from Yvonne this morning. She told me that she arrived safely and all is well, and she had a wonderful drive. And it was her that was on the broadcast last night. I love it. I'm going, "Hi, Betty, is that you, Yvonne?" And Glenn's busy saying, "No, it's Betty." I'm going, "No, I think it's Yvonne." And so Achievement, let's get back to that. So definitely what I decided today was not to stay at home and rest and do nothing. I decided I wanted some achievement in my life. And the reason I wanted that is because I find that doing nothing breeds doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? The lazier you are, the lazier you get. Now, I know I can justify it and say I've had a very, very stressful and busy 2 weeks. And I probably do need to take some downtime. But I also need to get on with my life. All right? And I need to keep my body moving because that's what life is about. So lying around resting is not going to necessarily be better for me. So the trick is to build a little bit of everything into your life. So the last couple of days, what have we had? We've had adaptability, we've had adventure, and now we have achievement. So if we could just build those three into our day, you understand our days would be very different. So did I have to adapt today? You bet I did. I had to adapt to the figure of 350,000, or was it 360? Somewhere in there anyway. Because I don't have it just lying around. So in my mind I had to sort of adapt to that. Was it adventurous going out and visiting a store I hadn't ever been to before? Yeah, that was adventurous. And did I learn something because of that? Yep, I learned a bit about what's going on in the economy. And do I get a sense of achievement for having actually taken that step and said, okay, fine, I'm going to do that. I will maybe work a few more hours to, well, quite a few more hours actually, but there are ways of paying for it. I just have to get my mind around that. But the end result is it worth it to me? Is it worth doing that for my trailer? And the answer is absolutely yes. So what I'm going to try and demonstrate in the next few weeks and months is that words are very simple, but they can change your life if you act upon them. If you can see that everything in your day gets affected by how you process these words, or don't bother to process them at all. If you don't bother to ask yourself, have I done anything adventurous today, or this week even? Have I done anything to get a sense of accomplishment, of achievement? Have I done anything for that? And I'm looking at all the people who are out there picking their own strawberries. Now when they get home they'll be sunburned, but they will have been adventurous. And they definitely will have a sense of achievement because they'll have the most wonderful fresh strawberries. And you're asking, why didn't I stop and pick some? Well, I already explained that. They will go rotten before I eat them. So why would I do it that way? That's not smart. And I know what you're saying, freeze them, Sal. And I'm going, yeah, you know how many I'd pick then? And then I wouldn't be able to empty my fridge again. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm actually working very hard at minimizing what's in my fridge and freezer. And I'm working on it. And I'm getting there. Every weekend I open up my freezer and I look at what's there and I look at how long it's been there, and I'm throwing stuff away. And then every time I cook something, I'm trying to very hard remember not to overcook. So I have to freeze stuff. All right, now the reason you heard a little thing of glee for me, they built a dirty great car park in a clover leaf near where I live. And it has stood empty because it used to be free and now they're charging for parking. And so what happened was, instead of having a need for an overflow car park, suddenly half the people that were taking transit decided, sod that for a giggle. I'm not paying for parking, not those prices, and went back to using their cars. Now go figure the intelligence of that, but never mind, it's what happened.